about it.
Yeah.
I always have a tail.
So banking is probably one of the more formal settings.
It has not historically, but it is really the last, a lot of my career that I did, a lot of people bankers, I still.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. They didn't give you a gavel? I'll have a gavel. Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me back there? Okay, good. There's the gavel. Welcome to our city council meeting this Thursday, May 5th. I call to order our meeting, and we'll start with our invocation and pledge of allegiance from City Council Member 1.
Let us pray. May we hold lovingly in our thoughts those who suffer from tyranny, subjection, cruelty, and injustice, and work every day toward the alleviation of their suffering. May we recognize our own solidarity with the stranger, the outcast, downtrodden, abused, and deprived, and that no human be treated as other in our common humanity and in our community, so that we are one fabric of mutual respect and care. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman. Well, we have a full house tonight. And they sound excited, so we want to go ahead and, Chief, if you can, come to the front. Thank you. He is going to help us with introduction as we do a proclamation, but if you want to go ahead and start.
Okay. So tonight we have Ariana and Eli. Come up. This is Hines, Chloe, and Cindy. First, come on up. Just stand right here by the podium. I want to move the podium over. So we have Cindy Rowland, Eli, Chloe, and Richard Hines. So,
All right. Welcome. I want to go ahead and read this proclamation. Whereas on Saturday, April 23rd, 14-year-old Cindy Rowland was swimming at 12 Mile Recreation with her family, and while Cindy was wading with 9-year-old Chloe Hines, Chloe felt something touching her leg. And whereas when Cindy looked down, she saw 6-year-old Eli Sherbert underwater and appearing to be in distress. And whereas Cindy pulled Eli up and yelled for help, then pulled him ashore when no one on the shore heard her yells. And whereas Chloe's father, Richard Hines, noticed the girls bringing Eli to shore and ran to their aid, and whereas Eli was not responsive, so Mr. Hines began CPR while Eli's mother called 911. And whereas they continued CPR until Clemson police officers Mark Gowan, Noah Millspaw, and Joseph Dempsey arrived, taking over CPS until EMS arrived on the scene. And whereas Eli was flown to Greenville for advanced medical treatment and has recovered from the incident. Now, therefore, on behalf of Robert Halfaker, Mayor of the City of Clemson, do hereby proclaim April 23rd, Cindy Rowland, Chloe Hines, and Richard Hines Day in recognition and honor of their quick actions that directly contributed to saving the life of Eli Sherbert, in witness whereof he sets his hand and have caused the great seal of the city to be affixed this 5th day of May 2022.
Does anybody want to say anything real quick? Or? No?
No. We'll
I
take
know
a
it's
picture.
pretty emotional.
Smile.
Yeah, so,
Huh?
over here, council will get
Yes.
around you, we'll take a
Let's
picture.
get a picture. You all want to?
Well, still,
You get up there.
You can sit on the table, it's good.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, smile, very good.
Wait, we got one more.
One more? Oh. All right, so, also in the audience are also the officers that were there, and all the UMass personnel that responded from Clemson Fire, Fire Chief, Kramer is here also, and, they're gonna treat the kids outside to kind of crawl around the police car and get a couple of things and say hello to Eli, and they can, hang out for a little bit. So, thank you everyone for showing up.
Let me just say, it's not every day that we can celebrate and applaud our children for being heroes, and I want you all to know that you did an awesome, awesome thing, putting yourself and taking care of your fellow peer. And so this is an awesome occasion for you all. So please know, being recognized tonight, we want to say thank you again from the city of Clemson and the community that's here, because you're the reason why we can be proud that we know our future is bright. So thank you. Before we do the other part. Thank you, Chief. We have another proclamation for the office of the professional municipal clerk. Whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all levels, at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas professional municipal clerks continually serve to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, on behalf of Robert Halfacre, Mayor of the City of Clemson, do recognize the week of May 1 through May 7th, 2022, as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Beverly Coleman, and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and the exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. And witness thereof, set his hand and have caused the great seal of the city to be affixed this 5th day of May 2022. And Beverly said they had already taken the pictures and celebrated, so she just wanted us to read that and let you all know. Yay! Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now I'm gonna actually turn it over to John, so that I don't do all of the talking tonight. He's gonna lead our public session. So, John, if you will.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So for up to the next 30 minutes, we will receive public comment on any topic that is not on the agenda. Ask that if you come forward, give us your name, your address, and each person try to limit your comments to about 3 minutes or less, so we can see as many people as possible, and we will periodically check to see if anyone's calling in with comments as well. So with that, the floor is open.
Good evening. Peter Hyatt, 110 Roslyn Drive in Clemson. I'm here tonight just to have public affirmation and thanks and gratitude for the pump track that is at Clemson Park that's being revitalized. There's a couple reasons I'm grateful, and I did bring a few other people to say thank you. One is it's inclusive. I think about the kids that don't play traditional sports, or the kids that play traditional sports and just have this adventurous spirit. It's hitting it. And so I looked up some of the vision statement for the city, and it says inclusivity and conscious progression towards equity for all people. And this is hitting that really, really nice. Second is the community. So it's open about a month. I've met so many cool people out there, from ages 5 to 55 on the pump track, riding scooters, skateboards, bikes are obviously the most popular thing. I've met people from Clarendon Hall walking through the woods. I've seen Clemson football coaches on bikes riding on it. Students, people from Seneca, Greenville, Spartanburg, and it's just got a really cool vibe. So it's really hitting the need for community. And then it's just innovative, and it's creative. So one of the guys I met from Greenville, he's involved in the city of Greenville. He and his son rode over there, and he was just gawking. He was so impressed with the pump track, and he would just, Peter, how did y'all get this built? And he said, can I pick your brain on how you got it built? And so I was just telling him a little bit, and I just want to thank y'all. I want to thank the people that came before y'all that put this thing in motion. But I just want you to know, when you do creative and innovative things, the city of Greenville wants advice from Clemson. So it's a really cool thing, and I think there's a few other people that want to share. But just out of the gratitude in my heart, it's an amazing thing. So thank you all.
Peter,
Thank you.
is there anything that we need to do out there? You've been using it, I mean. Bathrooms.
Yeah, maybe a few bedrooms, possibly a fence around it to keep people off the grass, and then we're helping Tony water it right now. But it's coming along. Maybe some benches.
That's what I wondered, if there were enough. There didn't seem
the
to be
other
enough.
side of the pavement, people can just sit and watch. A lot of spectators are just watching. One day we had about 5 city policemen out there just watching. I was like, you want a bite?
Thank you.
Sure.
Would anyone else like to speak?
Hello, I'm Carrie Carson. I live at 213 Lark Circle. Good to see you all again. Part of our recommendations, I'm part of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee as well in the city, and one of our recommendations in 2020 was to make improvements at Clemson Park. So it is very, very exciting to see things happen there. Clemson Park, as you know, is one of the first parks in our city, and so it's exciting to see so much vitality back in the park. I mean, there's been lots of life there for the last few years with the barn and drone, but to have more human life is also exciting. This really feels like what a park is meant for. It, like Peter mentioned, I want to repeat what he said, but it's a place where you strike up conversations with strangers, you run into friends, you meet new friends, so it's really been a wonderful amenity to the city of Clemson. So I want to thank you and also encourage you to continue improving Clemson Park. It's been the heartbeat's back in that part of the community, so thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak?
Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Cruz. I live at 217 Camelot Road. I've been living in Clemson for about 3 years now. We came for the lakes and the community, for the university and all the good stuff that Clemson has here, and we've been loving it here. This pump track that y'all made here, that y'all sponsored and put the stamp of approval on, it's a dream come true. I'm a big kid. I'm 44 years old or something. I've been dreaming about something like this my whole life, and to actually look at it and see it, it's amazing. It's like you're sitting at the beach, and this is a skater, skateboarder, surfer type of guy talking. It's like sitting at the beach and just looking at the waves. This pump track is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's so artistically done, so well made. You got the best company in the world to build it. And it's just it's a work of art. And I wrote a song on the way here, and I'd like to play it for you if that's okay. Before I do, also piggybacking on what Peter said about inclusion, it is a non-traditional type of feature at a park. And it's really great for the kids, like the diversity of kids and adults that are coming out and using it. It's just awesome. You know, kids that live nearby, that they're so appreciative. You know, they're out there, no shirt on, no pads. They just, you know, they're learning about calculated risk. You know, they're learning to pay attention. I mean, this thing requires attention. It's like crossing a busy street in New York or something. I mean, you have to look. You have to listen. You have to really pay attention with all your senses to navigate this thing. So the balance, the courage, the confidence that this park is going to build for kids in a non-traditional way is just really exceptional. So I wrote you a song, and it goes a little something like this. Hold on. Pretty good. Thank you, City of Clemson. We really love the new pump track. Every day we love to ride it from morning until night. Thank you, City Council. You really made a great decision. The pump track is amazing. The money was well spent. Thank you, City of Clemson. The money was well spent.
Thank you very much. If you'll sign, that'll be first in my 10 years.
That signature, you're giving up the rights to the song. We're gonna license it and use it at Clemson Park.
Nice.
Rick, do we have any calls?
After that, I would think we'd have calls.
Call their attendees in the webinar, but nobody did.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else care to speak?
I usually embarrass my kids very well.
I know they were like this when you were singing.
You can show it on YouTube again and again and again.
Hi, I'm Chad Carson, live at 213 Lark Circle, same place Carrie does. I'm not going to dispute the things they said, but as someone y'all know, I volunteer with the Friends of the Green Crescent Trail. The Green Crescent Trail is only part of the group that got this started. There's a lot of groups that were involved in this. The thing I want to say about investments and what I think this can do, and kind of show us a little bit about what the Green Crescent Trail is going to do, is it attracts a large diversity of people, ages, groups. It's a passive recreational amenity. It's also something, I think you see the excitement that this kind of thing brings. It attracts recruitment of people who want to live here and retains people who live here, which is a hard thing to do in a city. So I just want to point that back out and say this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, what can happen. We need to connect Clemson Park to the rest of the community with the Green Crescent Trail. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Chad.
Hey, I'm Hank Azell. I live at 104 Hillpine Court, and we just want to say thanks. Henry's really enjoyed it. It's really fun that the city of Clemson has helped my kids just have a childhood. He doesn't come straight home. He rides his bike straight from school, goes to the pump track, comes home tired and sweaty, banged up, bruised. He's got a helmet, but it's good. And then he comes home, and I'm like, man, what a great thing for a kid to have. So, you want to say anything, Lynn?
Yeah, it's been amazing, and it's gotten me outdoors a lot more.
So, thanks.
I'll see him over there.
Anybody else care to?
Wrap it up. So, if you ain't tonight for the pump track, if you could just stand. Take an extra minute from Washington.
Thank y'all for your comments, really appreciate it, glad you're using it.
All right, thank you.
Maybe a big climbing wall next. Of course, that's.
No, that's all right, thank you. Thank you. We'll let them clear the door, and then if anybody else would like to speak, we'll do that, and I think Kay is primed and ready. She's already signed the paper, she's gotta talk now, you have to do that. You signed the paper.
Do I? They're there, they just need to be freshened up. We need to freshen that whole building up. Actually, we're working a bunch of volunteers, gonna be. It's clean.
Good evening, I'm Donna Clayton, and I live at 206 Hunter Avenue. The big thing that's going on in my neighborhood right now, I think everyone's aware of, the road project. One thing is getting started, is going on, there isn't, I mean, we can't do anything about it now. But one thing I'm asking of you folks, please, let's make them vigilant and be proactive instead of reactive. We've had 2 incidents there, one when, they cut the main, AT&T lines. That was on the first day they started clearing. We were out for 5 days, no internet, no phone, nothing, just out.
Sounds nice, actually.
Well, I tell you what, you know, when I was working, it would have been nice, but now that I'm retired, but anyway, that was the first incident, and then the second incident is, they didn't take into account that now that they've cleared all this property, we have nothing but dirt there. So with the hills and the dips and everything that's natural to the lay of the land there, we've had, a torrential rain, and the folks at the bottom of Hunter have had flooding, silt in their yards, in the road and everything. So now they put up a barrier, but that's being reactive. We would like for them to be a little bit more proactive. Plus, the latest addition to the project is a porta potty right in my front yard, which doesn't look very good. I'd love if they could move it somewhere besides my front yard. I mean, it's across the street, but it's still right in front of my house. You know.
I would, yeah, okay.
You know, there has to be somewhere else on that piece of property that could be. But I think the residents out there, they're not taking us into consideration at all. They're just going about their business. And here we sit, dealing with it. So if we could just add in, I don't see anybody here from Rosewood tonight. I kind of hope they would be here, but I don't see anybody here. We just need them to be proactive. This is not their first time doing this, okay? So they know what's going to happen. They know. So that's our request as a neighborhood. If y'all could help us with that, we would greatly appreciate it.
I drove out there after getting Ted's email, I think last week. I drove through your neighborhood. It was a mess, to be honest with you. Now, I'm gonna keep driving through there, but you need to keep us informed. We got an email this morning, I think, from Holiday West. I think I'm gonna try to be more vigilant. I think we will too, but we have to count on the residents to let us know.
I don't know
and we
what we're
will.
gonna do when things get built out there and we have all of that traffic pulling out on Clemson Road. There is going to be an accident, and it's not going to be good. I don't see how we could keep from it. It's gonna be too much.
And DOT keeps telling us for some reason, I mean, we can't add any more stops or speed bumps or anything else on that road, on Old Pendleton.
Okay.
No, you wouldn't open on the road at all.
We can't, what now?
We can't add any other what's the word I'm looking for, stop signs or anything on Old Pendleton.
Yeah. Well, see, the, Hunter Avenue is actually a state road. So,
A lot of them within the city are falling to that.
Yeah, there's a few.
so I don't know what we can do about, I don't know what our options are as far as the city. Well, the state's the one, it's my understanding, that stopped the extra driveways. That's my understanding. I don't know if that's true or not. Y'all can help me with that. But I think the state is the one that stopped all the extra cuts for driveways. So basically, they have one way in and one way out, which is also right in front of my house. So, if you drive by, stop at 206, we might have some sweet things.
That's the one near the Porta John?
Brandhurst Sweet Tea, you got sweet tea full service.
Oh, my God.
Fran is bright yellow, you can't see it.
Like you are. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me hurry up here so the next person can see.
Ally, can you make a note to ask Nate, because this is the second project in recent memory that have heard that silt fences were not installed before grading began, and that's something we have to absolutely fix.
I agree.
That's something that should never happen, particularly on major projects like that.
And actually,
We just want to be
Yeah.
proactive.
Yeah.
They know this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, this is,
and actually it would stop too if we didn't have clear cutting allowed.
I didn't think they were supposed to do that, but they've already done it.
They say 25% of the tree canopy, but I think that's a loose definition.
Well, the thing of it is, what they left to make up the percentage that they were leaving is the border around the Miss Cooper's property and UMass property. I think that's and the Milliken property back there. I think that makes up the percentage that was left, and not the big pretty oak trees that they.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Would anybody else care to speak?
My tree ordinance will be in the next meeting. They're getting ready to take on.
If anybody cares to speak, just come up and sign, give us your name, address, sign in, and we're trying to limit it to 3 minutes. Yes, sir. Come on now.
I'll do it with her.
Well, I'm gonna go by that every
Got about
day.
12
Dockside every day.
249 Pendleton Road, next to the developer, property. I just want to, support her comments. So I share all those things with, that you will know that the other neighbors probably are not available today, but they are concerned, same issues. One of the things that, I'm a technical person, that I'm just, monitoring the boundaries, the properties. Some areas are disturbed, I'm not going to make a big deal unless, they permanently disturb my property. Because it's natural, probably, when they remove the trees, and then sometimes, the excavation just gets into your property, at foot or not. But then when the construction starts, that's very important to actually retain my property untouched, by them. But when I look at the deed and then, the engineer's, map that was, posted on the city council's, website, there's a discrepancy, between the, bearings. So the engineer's bearing actually takes like a 4 feet on, my property, and at one end, if you follow the line and compare it. Again, I'm just bringing this up, not complaining today, but then it will be an issue in the future unless the city engineers very meticulously.
Have you spoken to the city engineer?
I haven't yet. So I had the survey tool yesterday, and I'm going to remeasure the areas. And I'm also reading the bearings on both the engineers and then on my speed. They are not consistent.
That's what worried us, and it worried us with Dockside as well, that sort of what gets built is not what was in the drawing.
Okay. So I mean, if they permanently just start putting the roads, and then the setback is kind of shortened, what happens? I mean, it's going to be a court case.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for comments. Anybody else care to speak? We've got about 10 minutes left in public session.
and I'm not going to sing.
Oh, come on.
Before you dance?
I'm glad that they both just spoke, because I was actually bringing up Hunter Avenue twice in my talk that I was going to be giving tonight. And I've already written down a letter about it, so I know where you're coming from. But everything else before them was so positive. And I thought, oh man, and I'm gonna get up here and start complaining again. It's not good. But at least I'm in a friendly place. I've spent so many hours right in this very room. I love it. So, Rick and I and some of our neighbors are here representing the 30 households in our community. And this time we're here as a result of the lack of enforcement of the dockside site management agreement. You guys, I'm gonna give you another copy, because I know you won't get to read all of your thousands of emails.
I've got one.
Emailed this to you.
We've got
Oh,
one.
you got one?
Yeah, Rick.
Oh, well,
Beverly made us a copy.
I printed you out a
Sorry.
blue one. I'll say that. The site management agreement is an agreement approved by the city, because it's only signed by the owner of the property and the builder. But the city approved it. So even though we didn't sign it, they approved it. And it was signed on, in September of 2020. It's a major document. It's what sort of puts in parenthesis what's going to be allowed to be done on the property. In this one, I think there were like 10 points, or just about 10 points. The ones we were most concerned about were the fact that all of the building, every single bit of the construction was going to go on within the 5 acres. Every single delivery truck was going to make its delivery within the 5 acres. And the site was, for the complete time that the building was going on, was going to be surrounded by a fence. Okay. We didn't even know of this document until April 25th of this year. So we found out about this document 2.5 weeks ago for the first time. They have been building there and constructing for a year and a half. There, according to their own agreement, they have violated it literally hundreds of times. Literally. Every single day they were working, they had delivery trucks on Holiday West, on Holiday Avenue, out, 18-wheelers coming through our yards, literally coming through our yards. They had to put big stones in front of my house because they were gonna go right into the very front of my front yard. And so we're asked to be the eyes and ears of the city, and we're asked to be aware of what's going on. We didn't even know what we were looking for. We knew about the noise, we knew about the dirt, we knew about all sorts of things. We complained every other day. Some of us complained every day. But the fact that you could have an agreement in this city, in planning and code, and they haven't approved it, and it wasn't enforced for one single day, it's April 25th, and on April 25th, inadvertently, it was a mistake. We got it as a mistake. I think if they had it to send it out again, they wouldn't have it. They sent it to the wrong person, and they sent it to us, and we're like, oh my word. All of this, year and a half, 2 years of crap in our neighborhood, and it didn't have to be that way. So, the city, as they were saying, needs to work at being proactive. We've been doing construction in this city for decades, hundreds of years. And every time there's a new project, it's like we're starting from scratch. How is that even possible? How is it possible? We're just local residents. We don't know anything. You guys are council people. You run this city. And if you don't know, you need to find out. If you don't know what planning and code is supposed to do, find out. If you don't know what the court does, find out. If you don't know what engineering does, find out. You're not responsible for every little agreement that's signed in the city. Of course not. You appoint great people, you hire great people, they're supposed to do their job, but you're supposed to know what the end result's supposed to be, and if that end result isn't happening, you are not doing a good job, because the buck stops with you. And when you're looking over your shoulder and you're saying, oh, that was engineering, or that was stormwater, or that was building, no, I'm sorry, you are it. South Carolina has 3 forms of municipal government. They have council, they have a mayor, they have city administrators. If we had a mayor system, the mayor would make almost all the decisions. You guys would be home free, because the mayor would have all the responsibility. City administrators, if we had a city administrator form of government, it would be his responsibility. Council would be home free. But we don't have either of those. We have a council form of government. It's written up in code. If you have to look at it recently, look at it again and see what your responsibilities are as a council form of government in the state of South Carolina. Everything begins and ends with you. If someone's not doing their job, or if they're arrogant, or if they're saying that they're not responsible or somebody else's fault, you can fire them. You have authority to do things. You are such a great council, and I'm not saying this because I don't pat people on the back. I have been looking at city councils here since I moved here in 1986. I've been working directly with them for those 21 years I was city attorney. You are the best group of individuals as a council that this city has had since the mid-80s at least. I don't know before that. My Lord, you have so much power. You don't know how good you are. You have to.
Okay, sorry, I don't mind giving the latitude to finish, but there's only about 3 minutes left. I just want to see if anybody else wanted to speak, because we've given you a little bit of latitude already, and there's 3 minutes left in all the public
Can I
session.
just finish my thought then?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was giving you some room in
the
there.
bad cop. I'm the good cop, believe it or not.
Well, he'll have about 2 minutes at the rate. He'll have to be a fast cop.
Okay, I have to be a fast cop, okay. So, okay, let me make one more major point then. Because the main major point is, you're it, so do your job. But, please, we know right now today, we've known for 2 years, we're gonna have over 600 kids within 20 feet of our homes, our front doors, in August. We know that they're gonna violate the drinking laws, they're gonna violate trespassing laws, they're gonna violate every law they can think of, and maybe they haven't. I prosecuted these kids for 21 years. They are great kids, but they do stupid things. We know they're gonna do it. Please get together with your chief of police, with your city attorney, write down what laws are gonna affect this place. If they're sitting out by the pool and they're drinking beers, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing? Come on, give us a break. Be proactive. Because we haven't seen any of it, in 2 years.
Hey, can I ask you one question? So the agreement that we have here, whose signature is it?
Oh, well,
Brent Little.
is the owner.
Okay.
And Andy
Andy Sherman.
Sherman is the building person.
Okay.
It's the owner of the building. But it's approved by the city, and it's up to the city to see that it's done.
So, and one other quick point, John, don't take this from their time. So, and I guess I'm asking Ally or maybe Mary, is this agreement posted on a city webpage? If not, we probably need to get all of these so that people can see them, particularly because you're right, Kay, we are responsible, but our eyes are only this. But at the minimum, I would think an agreement like this should be posted clearly, and people in the neighborhood of Hull City should know about it.
I
So
know,
they can know.
City attorney, we didn't have this happen in residential neighborhoods when I was here. Not because of me, because didn't even occur to us.
Sure.
But in the olden days, when they were just in business areas, they had to let all the business people in the area know of these agreements, and they had a copy of it, and if they saw any infractions, they were to call the city.
So we need to start posting and informing
Abutting,
people.
quote, adjacent landowners.
Sorry.
All right, Fran, you tried to use Rick's time. But we're gonna get his up
I'll be very, very quick. Rick Ware, Hunter's Holiday, West Clemson, South Carolina. In the very beginning, we were going to do things. You'll never know we're here, and we'll do everything within the 5 acres. That was the 2 things that stand out. Over the course of the past
18 months, I personally have sent hundreds of emails, as Kate said, sometimes daily, complaining about our road conditions. And you guys all know that. You've seen that, and trust me, y'all saw a fraction of what I sent to Robert. Many times, we were held up on our, I said we've had to actually navigate Holiday Avenue and Holiday West as if we're navigating an active construction site. I work construction. It was just like being at work. Many times we were held up 5, 10, 15 minutes. Recently, I was held up and I needed to get to the ER room. But the forklifts were unloading trucks, traveling through the construction area. We've had trucks drive through our properties. Kay's mentioned all that. We've had visitors and service people to come do lawns that they just turned around and left. They couldn't get in. Tammy sent y'all email on that. I personally lost my cool. John knows about it, Robert knows about it, and it was not good. I'm very ashamed. See, my neighbors lose their cool. It did not have to happen. No, it's real simple. In our workplace, we say what you'll do and do what you say. We have heard, oh, I'm sorry for inconveniencing you. I'm sorry. But nothing ever changes. They talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. So talk about government transparency, and this is kind of where I'm headed with this, what Fran said. We know I know, at least Todd Stedman knew, Brent Little knew, Brian Cooper knew, and Andy Sherman knew of this side agreement. You can't have eyes everywhere. But we can if we know what the rules are. So, it was supposed to be shared, is my understanding, and for me, we just felt like it was ignored. It was just violated, but ignored. I mean, anybody else here tonight know this site management agreement? Anybody else? On council? Did y'all know about this before August the 25th that existed?
No, they had one, but I've not
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I didn't.
We've heard you here that there's an agreement.
And I'm gonna tell you, I don't believe for 1 minute. I don't believe for 1 minute that this was just inadvertently left out and I forgot it.
Not after everything that you guys have been.
Not after 18 months of me sending emails. Now, y'all know I travel a lot for my job and I'm gone 4 to 6 weeks at times. And that's a very peaceful time. I am on an active construction site when I do that. What I've seen here, people would be run off. They'd be told, you either do what we're asking you to do, or you can go down the street. But I work construction. That's a little different attitude. And sometimes I'm being told I don't have enough empathy.
About a minute, Rick.
All right. And so, Billy Sunday actually said, so I've heard all the excuses, heard all that. Billy Sunday, famous evangelist, said, an excuse is nothing more than the skin of a reason stuck with a lie. Think about that. He's right. I've heard that for many, many years. I strongly encourage this council, our city administrator, to take this situation extremely seriously, especially for those folks on Hunter Avenue, and that the strongest discipline be implemented for all those who knew about this agreement but did not enforce it, especially if they are a leader. It's uncalled for and unbecoming of any leader in leadership role in this city. Put us in this. Lastly, and I've had these talks, but this development should never be given a certificate of occupancy unless they are 100% complete. You lose in the construction business, you lose all control once you give them a CO. You lose all your leverage, you don't get anything done. I've told John, go down from Sherman-Williams down to Big Boys. Red dirt, they're trying to grow grass on red dirt. And half of for many of you that have lived in the South, know red dirt, grass, doesn't go together. But I guess they put all the topsoil underneath. And about 20-25% of our sidewalk is broken. Why? Because they had all that heavy machinery in there putting in the stuff. I'm gonna wrap it up. So, one thing that I found online is out in Salt Lake City, is a ordinance that talks about the protections of our streets and our sidewalks. And I have passed that on to Ms. Elaine, and I think they're gonna talk about that next week. But I would strongly encourage, I know may not be perfect, the way it's written, but it sure does address a lot of stuff that are regarding wheel wash stations, things that construction people need to do. We don't need to, we're Clemson, we don't need to beg the developers to come to us by any means. If they don't want to go to Seneca, let them go to Seneca.
So, thank you, Rick. All right, we have gone through all of our allotted time tonight.
Just more.
We'll give you one more in there. This will be the last one.
Mentioned that we did not get mail one day because it was so long, mail truck didn't get it.
And as he's come to speak, just out to Kay's point,
We didn't get mail one day, which is not anything. I just had a simple request, and what I'd like to say, I would like to see that they have the poles up there, the traffic lights on 123 and Holiday Avenue, and they have all the lines made and everything, but they do not have the lines on Holiday Avenue showing a left turn lane, a right turn lane, and straight ahead. I don't see any way that they can possibly do it. It's been on the plans since day one. We've talked to Little many times, and he said, it's gonna be 3 lanes. Don't worry about it, we're gonna make 3 lanes. I would like you to find out how he's gonna make 3 lanes out of Holiday Avenue.
It's not big enough.
And we really need it when we get 630 students there. We're not gonna be able to get in and out of Holiday Avenue unless we have those 3 lanes.
Okay, thank you.
My request.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking the 232 Holiday East.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
And with that, we will, bring the public session to a close. That's the first time in a while we've gone through an entire time limit. And Fran's time.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, to Fran's point and to Kay's, that I think with these agreements, we may be aware of them as city council, but it does stop with us. And so rather than just be aware, we should actually have access and copies of them. So we also know exactly what's in these agreements, so we can help our residents, because to their point, this is somewhat new, for us, in terms of dealing with these types of developments.
Yeah, I think, and we'll talk about this later.
We'll talk about it later.
Another thought really would be that if these projects are built, that a council member is assigned to each project, so it's a contact person who's a primary leader. And so, that's a longer discussion than tonight, but I think we should really talk about something, a mechanism like that in place also.
I see with Sally making some notes, and maybe you can just kind of come back to us with what the processes would be for us, and so y'all be formed and
And it has
go
to
from
be
there, so.
the last minute, because that's the problem, isn't it? It's too late now.
Approval of minutes, if we can, you should have had a chance to review your minutes April 18th.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Have a proper
Second.
motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. No opposed? Motion carries. As we move on, we get to our reports and discussion agenda. Discuss a proposed amendment to the ordinance for the Arts and Culture Commission.
And Mayor, this is going to speak on behalf of the commission. Hi, good evening. My name is Meredith McTighe, and I represent the Public Arts and Cultural Commission. I'm the new chairperson as of last month. We are asking to update the language to the ordinance, as we are attempting to replace a commissioner recently. We realized that the person that we would like to have replaced the Clemson University representative didn't fall within this category, although they touch on arts and culture. So we are asking to have a more inclusive language that allows us to have a larger pool from the university
area to support the growth in the arts and culture on this commission. If you want to read it, I have it here.
I can read it if you'd like. The proposed change would be to change the university seat from arts faculty and/or Brooks Center to a member that is a Clemson University employee working in an area that supports the research and growth of arts and culture, areas such as the visual arts, the performing arts, architecture, or humanities area.
So you can hear a little bit more of the cultural, the humanities in it. I do work for the University for the Visual Arts. I represent on the council, Clemson resident. So this is, my area is represented, but we wanted to make sure that we were inclusive of any more areas.
So, from a discussion standpoint, I think this is probably a good time to springboard for kind of some of the bigger things we've been looking at with arts, culture, CAM, and everything. I think when the Public Art and Culture Commission was first originated, the city didn't have an arts entity. I don't think CAM was around then either, so this group was a public group, and we've had a bunch of energetic, time-giving volunteers for many years over time, and but as it's evolved, and I feel like when the Arts Center became a city department, and CAM became city departments, and I know we've all had some conversation about this, the idea was ultimately to get those groups under Parks and Recreation as a department, tourism, culture, kind of expand that umbrella. So I think, to me, rather than going this road, it's maybe time to kind of take the next step and explore bringing this actually to where you have just a Parks and Rec Advisory Board with a designated art seat and a designated CAM seat along the way. And I think that's probably something for staff to begin moving forward a little bit with, because that's going to tie into that whole reorganization of that department too as well, and having those groups, which, when we brought them in, that was the present. So, the way I would see that is they would have designated representation, but now with arts being part of the city, we have that public component to get input, to get information. And also, so there's a public art plan out there as well, which is put together, and they've done a really nice job with. That's something that needs to be revisited. That shouldn't be on that side. That should be ad hoc public art committees and people reviewing that every couple of years or 3 years. So, anyway, I start out there, I know we've all kind of talked about it. If you don't have to raise your hand, I'm just...
Well, I just think I'll interrupt somebody. Are you suggesting increasing the size of the commission for Parks and Rec, or?
Correct. You would,
Okay.
that's right, you would add a new art seat and a new CAM seat, because a lot of what's doing is running through those areas anyway.
Right.
It's an efficiency standpoint, because right now, if the Art Center had an idea, it would go to Public Art Commission, and it would come to Parks and Rec, and then it would come to us. This would let the city department work with their direct advisory board and bring it straight to council. You still have your friends of groups that raise money, and they can they can put money for specific projects that they want, they can do whatever they want, but it would allow us to develop, and then that entire commission, just because you have those designated seats, my hope is that somebody that's on Parks and Rec has an interest in arts and CAM and culture as well, and can bring that about, so.
Well, like I said, my only concern is that, is in laying that out, that Parks and Rec is obviously still gonna be the largest group, and we just don't wanna lose the momentum that we have for arts and culture and CAM. That's my only concern about that.
I think everybody agrees with that.
And it would be, I think the better idea is that we look at it, and it's not just it's a new department. It's a new group that's Parks, Recreation, Tourism, Arts, and Culture, and those things are all equally important. And that, if we have a committee or commission that oversees that we can have a comprehensive commission. And again, I like the idea of, as we have public art plans or things that we have going on with the museum, or things going on in Parks and Rec, or in tourism and event area, that we can, as needed, do some ad hoc committees to look at those kind of things every year, instead of continually struggling with what we're doing with the committee.
You're right, I think that's what the department is, but to Catherine's point, I do think there has to be a seat that is an art voice and a CAM voice.
Yeah.
That is the criteria for filling.
That's what I wanna make sure.
So I think, you go ahead.
I mean, this is not what I was coming here for.
We're sorry.
Getting a line here. Just being new on the Public Arts and Cultural Commission, I can say that we've had a lot of turnover. I am new to the, commission. I'm not new to, the struggles and, what has happened and what has been gained in the past. What I see as the chairperson as of 1 month, is a lack of conversation really happening between these different departments. As a chairperson, really what I had planned to do is to reach out to the Parks and Rec Commission and have a better dialogue. I don't think it's a matter of pulling everybody together into one area, but really having it so there's just a better introduction of who we need to talk to within these different areas. Allie's new as our representative to the commission, so I understand it's about communication, and right now I think that I vow to be a better communicator amongst all of the groups that we touch.
And we're not doing this tomorrow, so don't worry.
There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that are in flux that, like, I think we have to think about some bigger picture things going on.
I think your time is just coincidental, because this is, when we brought them into the city, the Art Center and CAM, ultimately this is the road we were heading down. Anyway, was to make that one area, which was, so that when there's one department, there's gonna be one commission serving that department.
I think it's agreeing with that. I think before we can address the issue you brought tonight, we have to look at the larger structure of the departments and what would fit together and what would fall under that umbrella. And I think that it's not denigrating the role of arts or recreation. I think it's notion those might be better served as an integrated department. Because you look like the proposal that came from Arts Commission for lights in Gateway Park, which is a great proposal. But that's a very logical combination of parks, outdoor, because it's a setting as well as an activity. So anyway, I think we didn't mean to bushwhack you tonight. I think the notion is that you actually have started a conversation that we intended to have, and you were a catalyst to doing that. So
You're ripping our Band-Aid off.
So I think if I could say, that we would like to hold off on making any decisions about changing this language until we've had that broader discussion. And then if that's something we continue to do, then we can revisit. But I think right now, we just need to have this larger discussion to determine how best to move forward, if that makes sense to you, Mayor. And I think that's where we are, as a council, because to John's point, we're having the same conversation too with CAM, so it's not just.
So you're making the motion to postpone?
Well, that's not, it's a discussion. Yeah, it's just a discussion.
No, it's just a discussion.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mary.
Yeah, it's a discussion. So that's.
She's in court right now, she's in court mode.
So that's what we'll probably work with staff to try to figure out what that looks like moving forward. That's what.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, our next item is to receive a report. Dole Carr regarding participation in the Mayor's Monarch Pledge.
Oh, the Monarchs, yeah.
Good evening. Mayor Halfaker did caution me before he left that, for brevity. My name's Doyle Carr. I want to talk with you this evening about the monarch butterfly, and in particular, the mayor's pledge with the National World Wildlife Federation. I'm not really familiar that much with the World Wildlife Federation. It was just introduced to me this past week, with the email. Fran was, in my college years, Fran was one of my instructors, along with Ross Brookover.
But Doyle, tell them when your college years. Doyle actually was in my class about 2 years ago.
I was an advisor. And somehow we graduated. It's a miracle.
I'll be quiet. With the monarch butterfly, it is an endangered species, and in recent Michigan State University did a study, it says 80% of the monarch butterflies have disappeared since 1990. And U.S. News and World Report reports that 97% of the monarch butterflies are no longer in existence. The reason being is the lack of milkweed. Monarchs rely on milkweed plants and nectar plants for their food and home. These plants are increasingly vanishing all across America. We have to understand the migration pattern of the monarch butterfly to grasp the importance of the milkweed. There are 76 species of milkweed. The eastern monarchs from the Rocky Mountains east in the United States and Canada, migrate every year to an area in Mexico, about 60 miles north of Mexico City. Some 20 million monarchs are all that's left, but they all migrate there, except a few go to Florida. I think they're from New York and New Jersey. But anyway, the lion's share go to this particular area. It's only 350 square miles. Put it in perspective, that would be 2/3 of Pickens County. And Pickens County is 512 square miles. So all of the monarchs in North America, east of the Rockies, can you imagine coming to Pickens County? 2/3 of Pickens County. And they winter there there's 5 butterfly sanctuaries, and UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, has designated this as a cultural heritage area. Once the days start growing longer, they begin to move back north to their summer habitat. The spring breeding pattern is unique in that the spring bred butterflies only have a life expectancy of a few weeks. So once they become butterflies, they're moving back north, and it's almost like a Pony Express. They move for their life expectancy. The females stop, find the milkweed, lay somewhere between 300 and 500 individual eggs, secrete a glue substance so that the eggs stick to only the milkweed plant. And only the milkweed plant will feed the larva of the monarch butterfly. In about 2 weeks, the larva, the caterpillars will go through the metamorphosis. In about 2 weeks, an adult butterfly emerges and immediately begins reproduction habits and moving north. In order to do this, it could take as many as 5 generations for the butterfly to move back to their original habitat. And that's why it's so important that we, in the migration pattern of our states and other states, that we provide the milkweed. And the milkweed is becoming very extent with urban sprawl, suburban sprawl with all of the lawns and mowing and things of this nature, plus the herbicides used in our agricultural process, especially around corn and soybeans. But with doing this, we can make a difference in the population of the monarch. One of our main concerns about losing the monarch butterfly is that the monarch butterfly, like the honeybee and other insects, are great pollinators. And with the upstate, with our apple production, our peach production, we need the pollinators to maintain our agricultural and food supply obligations that we provide for the upstate. By losing a pollinator, we are not doing what we can do to maintain our food supply. planting the, milkweed, first of all, the milkweed is not something that is for the faint of heart, that it's difficult to cultivate, even though it is considered a wildflower. It has a very deep root, and it takes a while to get it going. The other thing is, if you try to use it by the root, it's expensive. It's $7.99 at Headley for a root in a pint container. If you do it by seed, and that's a recommended way, and talking with Barbara Smith at our Clemson Extension, she says you cannot, and put it in her words, you cannot take the Johnny Appleseed approach and go out and throw a bunch of seeds out there and expect them to flourish. You should be doing sample core tests, take it over on Cherry Road to the Extension lab, have your soil analyzed, and know how to produce this. The other thing is that in doing it, you're going to have a period of cold seed stratification. It's not going to be instant gratification where you throw the seeds out, plant the seeds in the spring, and in the summertime you've got the bloom of the milkweed and you've got your butterflies. It's not going to happen. It's recommended that we plant in the fall. The seeds have to go through the cold seed stratification. They have to get the process for germination, and that includes staying in the ground for the winter. And then it will start growing and germinate in the spring, and it can be as much as 2 to 3 years before we will have bloom on a milkweed. Some of the primary colors of the milkweed of the 76 varieties, the tuberosa is considered the butterfly weed. That's what it goes by. It is orange. The cantonera has two colors of this. One is purple, one is white. Does that sound familiar? Colors? Orange, purple, and white. Why would we be in color? Mr. Halfacre might be, since we went to Georgia, but the rest of us, I think not. One of the other reasons that we should be looking at it for the city of Clemson, some of the benefits in doing this. If you look at the mayor's pledge, the mayor's pledge is quite lengthy. There are 30 action steps. They are very detailed, and they can lead you by the hand to go through this. But with that, some of the recommendations, and we talked earlier this evening about their 12-mile park. We have the 26 acres out there. My suggestion is we look at our parks and all of the city-owned properties and look where we can plant milkweed and reduce city maintenance. Where we are mowing and paying people to maintain this, plant milkweed. You don't have to maintain it, you don't have to pay for it, and you are exercising your fiduciary responsibilities in doing this. Our daughter, Sherry Marie, who's here with us tonight, did some research, and there is the Monarch Butterflies and Pollinators Conservation Fund. Of that, there are 40 partners, 40 corporations, partners, 20 government agencies, and 24 independent foundations that provide funds and grants for aiding in this. And I know that Fran's familiar with grants because he chewed on me one time because he was turned down from UPS, where I retired from, because it was a grant. But anyway, in fact, right now, the Bayer Crop Science division of Bayer, there's a $1.9 million grant available But unfortunately, the pre-proposals are due today. But regardless, my point being, there are 84 entities out there where monies are available that could come into the city to help us for any needed expenses for our projects. The other thing is that we've had pushback before, but just understand that there is no slight or competition between the eastern tiger swallowtail, which was adopted in 1994 as our state butterfly. They also feed on the nectar of the milkweed, but they do not lay their eggs on the milkweed. They use the aspen and cottonwood trees. Couple of recommendations would be the mayor's pledge, go through it. There's item number 9 suggests creating a community art project. Wonderful idea that I brought this along to show you an amateur rendition of the monarch butterfly. It just happens to be one of our other daughters' work. The other thing is, in there, it talks about signage, showing that we as a city are committed to doing this. It does tremendous for the reputation of the city of Clemson. That shows to the citizens that we are concerned about our environment, our ecosystem, and the vast number of visitors that we get into the city of Clemson. I am more familiar with an organization called Monarch City, and there are 88 Monarch cities in the United States. The mayor's pledge, there are only three cities in South Carolina that have participated in the mayor's pledge: Conway, Casey, and Greenville. Of the three, only Greenville is still active and has an active pledge going. One of the drawbacks that I see is this, quite frankly, I'm not here to push either organization. I'm here to try to give you information that we should be doing something. But with the mayor's pledge, it appears that if there's a change of administration, so goes the pledge. And we would want to have something that is sustainable, that would go a long way, because it took 30 years for the 80% depletion. We're not going to replenish them in 1 year. But with Monarch City, they provide signs that could be mounted as entering Clemson on side posts that goes along with, nothing says you can't be members of both organizations. And this could be one of the projects, one of the action items for the Mayor's Pledge organization, that the signage with advertising that Clemson is a Monarch City. My other suggestion would be to develop a reduced pricing on seed supplies. Again, the Clemson Extension suggested a couple places, like the Eaton Brothers and Meadow Wildflowers, where you can get reduced pricing for the planting and cultivation of it. And I'd recommend that we lean a little heavy on the university for the town and gown relationship, because there are so many things that the Mayor's Pledge are asking to do to get professional individuals, landscape individuals, with a landscape architecture school, all of the things going on with Clemson, and hopefully that even with, Clemson is a little reluctant on things. And, you guys, many of your work for Clemson, but deal that if you look up bureaucracy, you have a picture of Tillman Hall there. But Clemson itself would see how successful that you guys have been, and start doing some of the similar things on campus, or experimental forest and all of the other thousands of acres that Clemson owns in South Carolina.
Mr. Carr, I appreciate all that you're sharing. Is that some information we can actually receive, to review, and continue to review your recommendations that you're reading to us?
Yes,
To be mindful of
I
time?
have the copy, and I told Mayor Halfaker that I would leave this for you with all of the information. So
Is there because that will help us determine a logical next step.
Yes.
Just want to be mindful of time, so that we can, continue with the meeting, but I just wanted to know if there were ways we can get those recommendations.
Yes, in
Because
fact, I
you've
have
given a very good
copy
overview.
that I can leave for you, and, Mayor Halfaker has my email, Fran has my email.
That'd be great.
Any way that I can be of assistance, feel free.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Allison will,
Milkweed, you can buy the seeds at Walmart,
I was about to say,
I'm at Walmart.
and it takes full sun though.
I'm good with full.
Thank you, John. And I have.
I looked it up while we
I
were
was gonna
talking.
say, yeah, American Meadows has the plan.
Mr. Carr, you had the recommendations for the locations in there, that,
Yes.
okay.
And I have all the contact information,
Okay.
the email
Got the
addresses and everything.
plant your milk.
Okay, thank you so much.
Those guys
Plant.
talk well.
They did.
Seed.
That was good.
I suck at season.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not, I can't even
But
go
it
to
does take,
sunflowers.
Yeah.
they do take,
But you had seen ones of them.
does take.
Staff report,
Okay, I'm gonna need y'all to get out your calendars, I have a few dates to look at. The first one will be for a budget workshop to discuss the rates and fees for this coming budget. We would like to do it sometime next week. And I know you all are already meeting on noon on Wednesday. If possible, we would like to do Thursday, but tell me what's good for you all. The only day that staff can't do it is Wednesday afternoon, so.
Thursday, I have like an hour at lunch, otherwise it's an after-work thing for me.
and it's graduation next week for us.
Yeah, oh, that's right, Thursday's graduation.
Thursday and Friday is hard for me, because Thursday's hoodie.
Yeah.
We might could do the first of the following week, would be
The
the
16th. 16th is Monday.
16th, we got
With
council, 17th, we got the Avenues deal.
Can we do it in an hour before council?
Probably not an hour, probably need at least 2.
But you cannot do the 11th, the afternoon of.
There's no way, not during, you don't really want it coming out during graduation.
I can't do
Oh, that's right, graduation.
Next week's a shot for me,
Yeah,
period.
I can't
And really,
do
the first part of that other one,
I have a
Or
ceremony.
the first part of the week, Monday or Tuesday.
For 2 hours? I could do Tuesday at lunch, the 17th.
For 2 hours.
Yeah.
I can too.
I'll make that work for 2 hours on Tuesday at lunch.
So Tuesday,
Otherwise,
Tuesday the 17th, noon to 2. Okay,
If you'll feed us.
we'll do that.
Minimal if you.
That's at 12,
I really want the guy who had it.
12 o'clock.
Yes.
At the museum? Yeah, the museum there,
The
thank you.
next would be a recommendation from staff to change the first June council meeting, that's June 6th. That is the same night as the ITGA reception. What we would recommend, so we do have to have 2 meetings in June to pass the budget. And the first meeting in July, that's the 4th of July week, so it would have been moved to Tuesday. Our recommendation would be to combine the first meeting in June and the first meeting in July and do it June 27th, which is the last Monday in June. So we would have a meeting June 20th and then June 27th.
You wouldn't have one,
The 4th of July.
no. So the June the 20th will be the first June meeting?
Second June meeting, well, yeah, June 20th and then 27th, yeah.
So that would be, June 20th would be the first, and June 27th
Would be the second.
But then that would also be a combination of June and July, the 27th is what you said, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you not want to drop back and have it like on May 31st? Because what if you have to have a third reading because something changes or somebody doesn't, I mean, it's possible to pass once and not pass another, and then you got to have a third reading. You don't want to back yourself into where you can't do it.
We can try, it'll be tough with having the rate study. If we do that the 17th, that will give limited time to get it finished, but.
I mean, I understand that side of it, but I'm also thinking about if you have to have a third vote, you got to have time to do that as well.
And we could do that, Monday the 30th is Memorial Day, but the 31st, the Tuesday.
Just, I mean, I don't know, everybody else may agree with me, that's just my thoughts, my concerns.
I'm a little concerned because we've got we've got the uptown stuff and
If you
everything.
have any hiccup, you don't have any margin for error if you move them both to the end of the month.
And we have to give 14 days notice for the public hearing for the budget.
To me, the worst case, what John's saying is exactly right, and then if we have a short meeting, so what? I mean, if there's no third reading, then, okay, but we've still met our obligation to meet and just in case.
Yes.
Okay.
You said what? The public hearing could be.
Can be done at the second, after the first reading.
To get that 14 days,
Because if we meet on the 17th, you'd have to give
14 days.
14 days to get to, that gets to.
So we're definitely gonna meet on the 17th, 16th and 17th, well, 16th is council, 17th is budget, then meet on the 31st for council, is what you're saying, John?
So we would meet 3 times in
Would that be your
May?
June, that'd
That'd be your first June meeting.
That'd be your June meeting,
That'd be your first June meeting, would be on May 31st.
yeah.
And then the public hearing and second read, but that way you got a little bit of working margin if you need to.
So then you'd meet on June the 20th, and then if necessary, then you'd also meet on June 27th to take your.
Yeah, we wouldn't,
But we could schedule that on the 20th if for some reason, after the
Correct.
second reading, we
Right.
could do a schedule for that next week to do a third reading.
Yeah,
you still have the 27th.
Right.
To be able to have.
But do we have to schedule the 27th now as if needed, or can we do that on the 20th if needed?
that'd be enough notice on the 20th.
You just, as long as it's 7 days.
Okay, so.
The 14 days is for the public hearing.
Gotcha.
So now we're gonna do the 31st of May for a council meeting, right?
Right.
Yep.
That works, because I'm on vacation the following week anyway.
And you still have a meeting on July 5th.
Would we?
I thought we would.
That's what I thought the
I
difference
thought
was.
that,
That's what I'm asking.
I thought we would not, yeah.
that was our recommendation, because that would have been 3 meetings in a row. But if, 3 meetings in a week, 3 weeks in a row of meeting. But if we have it in May, then that wouldn't be the case.
So give me these dates, confirm all this. May 31st, we're meeting, yeah?
June 20th.
June 20th.
June 20, okay, and that's our first meeting in June.
No, May 31st is your first meeting in June, Ted.
May 31st, their first June.
May 31st is June, it's a new June.
Now you're just trying to mess with me, John. Okay.
We can have it at midnight.
June 20th is our first or second meeting, depending, and then the third one, if we need, is the 27th?
If needed.
All right. And then we
31,
still have,
20, 27.
and then the first July meeting is still July 5th.
Correct.
Quit pushing me.
And then a few more, not for scheduling though, but the Municipal Association annual meeting is July the 14th through the 17th in Charleston. And if you will let Beverly know by June the 1st, if you are interested in going. And then also, if you all can let me or Beverly know if you're interested in going to ITGA, we have to send in our list of everyone from council and staff that will be attending.
I told you already, right?
But I thought there was, okay, I want to go. Yeah,
You're going to ITGA?
I wanna go.
You going to any meeting?
I might go to annual meeting, I didn't go last year.
You'll be ITGA.
I'm doing.
ITGA.
Not realizing.
That's the town council.
ITGA.
Right.
I have a very personal reason.
I'll go to ITGA also.
Okay, you're not doing ITGA?
Not on your line.
What was the date from the mid-year, on the annual meeting for?
July 14th through the 17th.
I'll be out of town.
Oh, that's, no, yeah, ITG, we're not talking about annual.
I'm to be determined on the other one.
ITGA, you've got some time on the annual meeting?
It's in July, it's in,
July 14th there.
but it's in Charleston.
And it's in Charleston, yeah, I'll probably go to that. I didn't go last year.
Yeah, I might too.
I'm to be determined on that, but I will, for those who haven't been or haven't been to many of them, that's a worthwhile thing. The classes are good, but the networking and the information sharing from city to city is invaluable in my opinion.
If it's in Charleston's a good place to go.
Exactly.
Come on, ITG.
That's what I'm talking about.
We had to drive through Berkeley Springs, West Virginia.
It's gonna be hot in June.
ITGA,
So you're gonna register us, Roger, you will be registered?
yes,
Okay.
Good.
Is that everything?
That is all.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Moving on to our policy and action agenda items. Consider first reading of an ordinance to amend section 18-34B1 football reservations for the out-of-town Lindsay
Oh, this is.
football parking rate. You've been here for the time, so.
So nothing's changed in discussion, it's $300
Basically, 150 for residents, 300 for out of town.
I actually like the little modification.
Well, since it's already been in the paper, do we have to vote for it? Thanks, Greg.
The news, the reporter jumped the gun. Print yesterday's news tomorrow.
So, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the rate changes as presented.
Second.
Got that over. All right. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Catherine? Okay. All right, motion passes. Resolutions. We have to consider a resolution confirming that 403 College Avenue was an abandoned building prior to being redeveloped by Pavilion Development.
I'll be presenting on
Okay.
behalf of Todd.
Okay.
What this is a resolution for council to verify that this building was vacant prior to it being developed by Pavilion. This has no impact on the city. It would be for an income tax break from Department of Revenue. I have received concerns that this building may have received these tax credits in the past. Me and Mary did some research, and we couldn't verify that, but that's not up to us to decide. We can certify it that it was abandoned, and then Revenue or Commerce would decide if they get the credits or not.
They make the city say it was vacant.
Was it truly abandoned?
Do we get to say no?
I mean,
That's up to you. From what I've researched, so there, in 2018, there was a resolution on the agenda, for another group that was trying to turn it into a brewery, and from that, it said that it had been, vacant since 2008.
Yeah, it's been vacant for a long time.
I've been told that there was someone living in it that wasn't supposed to be, but that wouldn't be considered. That doesn't count. The state law says that 66% of the building has to be vacant for 5 years leading up to, the people purchasing the building. So they couldn't have purchased it, let it sit vacant for 5 years, and get the credit.
But it was listed for sale, it wasn't just sitting there.
yeah, I mean, the building,
That's my
the
issue
people
with
have paid the taxes on it, and how do you deem
not
that as
abandoned.
abandoned? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's not abandoned.
they've kept the taxes up, I'm assuming they kept it insured, just because it was empty.
There's a series of factors that they have in the Abandoned Buildings Revitalization Act, and one of the main ones is that it has to be revenue producing. It has to be occupied. There wasn't got a lot in here, but the weird thing is, if you had a house, you just like to spend the night there sometimes, so. It's kind of weird, but, it has to be revenue, producing, it has to be occupied either commercially or residentially, and it was not occupied.
But it was for sale,
And it
they
wasn't.
were withholding, they wanted.
Well, it's not abandoned in the sense of like nobody owns, nobody's activating, but it's just abandoned in the sense that there wasn't an operating
It was
business
vacant.
entity in there. That's the way you kind of have to.
With the act is to encourage revitalization of basically blighted or abandoned buildings. And really, all we're saying is that there wasn't a business in there operating, and there wasn't anybody living in there. And everything everything else on the other side is for whoever the developers or owners are now, to deal with the Department of Revenue to see if they meet the criteria for the tax credit. We're not offering no tax credit from municipal taxes.
But again, I guess where I am, you're right, that the building was listed for sale the entire time. So, you know, you could split hairs on revenue generation there. And then also, they bought it, you know, on their own without this being a consideration.
Yeah, they bought this, it's been quite some time since they bought this property. It was a condition, renovating and having something in this property was a condition of them being able to build a hotel, correct?
Just to use the parking.
Something that they, yeah, for the parking, they had to have a functioning, operating business in there. So they were gonna have to do this anyway as a condition, and probably part of the reason that they bought this property. So, I mean,
Here's the definition of abandoned,
Yeah,
to
I
just
don't-
former stuff. Ally's right, at least 66% vacant for the past 5 years, non-operational for income-producing purposes, may not be a single-family residence. A building listed on the National Register for Historic Places, which I don't think would apply. And, the investor using the tax credit, and again, that would be up to the Department of Revenue, may not be the owner at the time of the abandonment. We, you know, I think the discussion in, September of 2018 was that, I think you're right, that it had been almost 10 years that it had been non-operational.
Do we know do we have an idea of what that monetary value is of that tax credit?
Okay, why does that matter though? 'Cause it's not coming out of the city money, I mean.
No, I know.
I'm a state taxpayer.
It's based on income.
I'm a state
Yeah, but
taxpayer, and
they're
every
qualifying
tax
for
credit was paid for something that was going to have to be done
At the
anyway.
end of the day, though, you can't deny that the building was abandoned, whether you like it in principle, I don't like it in
But we
principle, I
have
don't like it going there.
no reason we have to do this.
It's actually based on the amount of money that the owners are gonna put into the revitalization of the building. For cities with population, cities or counties, with a population between 25,000 and 1,000, which would be us, they have to put in more than $150,000 investment in order to qualify for the credit. There are a number of different credits that they can apply for, but they have to choose one. And, it can be taken over, it can be 25% of actual expenses, but it cannot exceed $500,000 for any tax year. It can be taken over 3 years. With the tax year, the bill, starting the year that the building is placed back into service. And, well, that one wouldn't apply, but, I've used this for another municipality for textile mill, revitalization. But again, I think John's right, it is strictly up to the Department of Revenue to make certain that they meet I mean, the act is pretty long and it goes on, and has a lot of requirements that they have to do. But it is based on how much money they put into the building.
One question though, but the only thing because the leasehold improvers, I mean, you gotta figure a junkyard and all in to do it, those costs are on them. So their only revenue into the deal, or their only cost into the deal is what they pay for the building. Wouldn't that be right, John? I mean, they essentially, no matter
They
what.
hadn't seen the terms of their agreement with them, they may have paid for the build out for all I know.
But I mean.
They may be collecting the back end rents.
Well, okay. But really, all we're doing right now is.
We're saying that the building was abandoned. We're
Right,
not
that's right.
making any determination about whether they get the credits or not. We're just saying that there was not an operating business in that building
Was
for a
abandoned.
period of 10 years or whatever, which.
But this may be nuanced, I don't know. What we're asking to certify is that the Astra was a vacant building. The definition in here is an abandoned building. And it goes on to say, before pavilion development, put in the junkyard, by certifying this pavilion development will receive a revitalization of abandoned building. So right now, this is written that we are certifying it vacant. It's not the definition.
Above it, though.
Yeah, but it's not.
But what you're doing is you're certifying this resolution itself. That's just a summary where somebody typed vacant instead of abandoned. That's just
So it's
that's
not
not what
vacant.
we're voting on. That's just
Yeah, I think you're right, the definition of abandonment, actually, I think there is a portion of the act where you can have been using, say, a textile mill or a manufacturing facility as a warehouse, where you would be using it, but you wouldn't be, income producing except for being able to store your stuff there. There are some exceptions, so you're right, there is a difference between vacant and abandoned.
But we're voting on the resolution, not on our typed up summary page at the front.
And that was my mistake.
So,
I typed vacant.
so really, the people who benefit from this, if we do this, is the pavilion development
They
people.
may or may not.
They're the only one who can potentially, there's nothing in this for us.
Except that, you know, I mean, it takes away, basically, a building has been a kind of a blight.
Which is done anyway.
But it sets a precedent too, that if you let your building sit, that's a precedent for what we consider as abandoned and vacant.
Well,
Most people don't have revenue
the
stream.
requirements under the act, yes. But of course, if you buy a piece of property, you don't want it to sit empty for 5 years, because that's your money, that's carrying costs just going out the window.
Well, someone else has to own it. If you let that property sit vacant, you can't benefit from it. The next buyer, you can't hold it and benefit yourself. It's
Well,
the next person who
A
does
friend of
it.
mine who's a mayor, I mean, they had people in that town who would not do anything with their buildings, hoping the city would.
Which that's different than this.
Right, and that's what I'm paying attention to.
Well, aren't we, all we're doing is just certifying that the building was abandoned?
Correct.
That's all we're
End
doing.
of the day, that's all we're doing. I'll be glad to make a motion.
I was gonna say that, because the bottom line is, we may not agree with what the purpose behind it is, but we're being, you know, for me, it's
One thing.
being honest about whether or not this building was abandoned.
Right.
It meets the definition.
It meets the definition.
What we're doing, we are approving a resolution, and we don't, we're not under an obligation
I'll make a
to
motion
approve a
for
resolution at all, right? So if we don't think that resolution should be or needs to be approved, we don't have to do it.
I don't think
We're just verifying.
the resolution for the city, it doesn't cost you anything. And the upside is, you know, hopefully that building was in terrible shape the one time I went in there, with my little squatter guy. You know, just to have the absence of that standing empty and all.
We were going to have the absence of that standing empty when they purchased it, and as a condition of building the hotel, they had to have a functioning business in that building in order
I'd like to call the
to, and they had
question.
to do it. They had to do it, in order to have the hotel project go forward. So that building was going to be redeveloped with or without this, and the resolution and all that kind of stuff, so.
Call the question.
I'd like to call the question. Someone's got to second that, no?
Can I ask one question before we do, Mary? The last part of this resolution says the city hereby certifies that each of the 3 building sites constitutes a separate abandoned building. What are the 3 building sites?
I'll let Ally address that, because
It's been portioned.
This is the very last sentence.
my understanding was.
When they bought it, I think they parceled it out, so it's where the junkyard is, where walk-ons will be, and the hotel.
3 businesses in
Okay,
there.
so it's only three places, all right. And all we are voting on is whether it meets the criteria for abandoned. Correct. Is that?
So, he called the question,
Well,
is there a second?
I can make a motion if no one, if everybody's done talking.
Go ahead and make the motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution confirming 403 College Avenue as an abandoned building prior to being redeveloped by Pavilion Development.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed? All right. No.
No one did, we went straight to the motion.
There's no more discussion. I'm getting hungry, that's the right.
What, at the second calling the question?
Once the question is called, there's no further.
He decided not to.
That's why we continue our discussion, but
All right, mayor, council reports, comments, new business? Yes,
just 3 things. So the next conversation with council will be 2 weeks from tonight. I suggested to Andy that maybe we actually have it at 12 Mile Beach and invite the recreation people to come to that one. I don't know if we're gonna do that or not, so I sent them an email today.
outside.
The other thing is just following up on the earlier conversation about dockside, just to make sure it's noted that we will, I hope, talk about the posting of those agreements in a place that's easy to get to and visible. I think we should also talk about a council member being appointed to be the contact person for any development, not to supersede planning and codes, but to have us doing our duties as sort of Kate pointed out, that we each would have a site, and just we would be the first contact to do that. And hopefully that will sort of address the issue of our responsibility to do this. And honestly, I didn't even know there was such a thing as building agreements. I hate to say that, but I didn't know there was such a thing. Maybe it would help if we had each of us sort of visibly connected to a site, just as an indication.
And that might be something good to maybe on a recurring basis whenever there's new council have, because staff has been
No, you're right.
before and told us that we have site plans, but they're not, I mean, nobody goes and asks for the site plan, because nobody wants to go home and read that at night. So yes, we're assigned to it.
I didn't know. Yeah, and again, just not to override planning and engineering, but just to make sure that a resident knows Bob Brookover is my first contact if there's an issue and I'm not getting the help I need. That's all.
My call.
Are you saying when people aren't getting the help they need, it's Bob Brookover's fault? Gotcha.
Anyway, just to have that discussion.
Fran,
Agenda.
conversations with councils at 6 or 6:30?
We have 6:30, we decided to align it with the same time.
Okay, 6, I just want to make sure. There was some confusion last time.
Yes, I do have a report on behalf of Mayor Halfacre. If you'll pull up the pictures of the farmer's market, Rick. He wanted me to share that the farmer's market is back and going 4 to 7 on Thursdays until September, and that they had purchased new tents. That's what the pictures are of.
I saw them today.
He said that they had good vendors and recommended everyone come in, and was very, very proud of the turnout.
Oh, sorry.
They were there, I promise, I saw them. There you go.
The city sponsors the farmer's market?
That's correct.
Okay, well, that goes into our other discussion about the food truck issue.
Okay, any other announcements, reports? Don't sound like there are any. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in
Every-
favor?
If everyone seconds it, you don't even have to vote.
Sometimes I'll think of something just so you can vote on it. Doesn't mean I support it.
I'm not sure.
I think it's.
Get it on the table, I just, John.
John is seconded, you don't.
And just don't have the vote on it.
There's something goofy.
I thought everybody seconded.
Longer meeting than I thought it would be.
Yes, well,
You know, I'm glad Debbie sent it.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, we went 33